For those of you that don't know, Rich has pretty much coached every level of lacrosse he could. He was the girls coach, I believe, East Ridge for years. Coached the Gophers for years, the men's college, and then also coached the girls at Woodbury. Is that right? Yeah, East Ridge. I keep getting this confused. Some of those East Metro schools. Anyway, that's tremendous. Okay. He's had a lot of kids go on to college. His own daughters are playing down in Florida, where he has forced to go down there and visit with them. Terrible. Anyway, I'll let you talk, Rich.
Thanks, Mark. So, getting ready for this, first off, it's an incredible honor. Everybody said that, but to be in the room with all these people, and when we got in here and you're seeing everybody again, it's like it less nerve-wracking as it's more fun. So like, see Howard and be like, man, I remember when I called him, I didn't even know how to spell lacrosse. I think I had a capital C in there. He's saying like, how do we get this going in Woodbury? But thank you for making this venue possible and the foundation to what we're doing for the future with all these kids and adults. My first big thanks for anything to do with this lacrosse piece is my wife, Heidi. Heidi was the athlete of the family. She ran track at KU, or at KU, heptathlon, all that stuff. So some of us have to like carve out our other ways to get into the sports a little bit. But I was playing hockey and baseball at the University of St. Thomas. I was a heck of a bullpen catcher for the baseball team. I threw a lot of good BP. And really good as a first-line D-man on the St. Thomas JV hockey team. And then I went down to Mankato and met Luke Fosley. And man, it's amazing how the power of just inviting somebody to play. Like right away I was playing, I just went to the hockey pickup. And I met Luke, and he's like, no nonsense. He just comes up, he's like, all right, so we got this game called Lacrosse, you're gonna play. I'm like, all right, what does that mean? And so he hands me a stick and he's like, do you have a place where you can bounce this off the wall and you'll be ready for the spring season. So I took that stick and I was like, I had a little spot with of the wall like this, where I continued to just bounce that thing off the wall, both hands, and I got really good. I didn't even know what the game did. I hadn't played a game yet. But Luke taught me, and I think that's what a lot of us are doing when we pass this game on to others. Is we share it and we build it. And then the season came along and I got to meet Art, who was my first lacrosse coach, Art Ayers. And man, I can't believe how much we did off of like $3 plate spaghetti dinner fundraisers. Like we thought we were doing it, like we filled out the Albatross with these people and they all spent $3 for it. Art was paying for us to play. We were paying like $150 to play for the whole season, traveling, getting rental buses. Art was paying for that, and and offering us an opportunity to get into the game. I realized it maybe 20 years later. I was like, there's no way those spaghetti dinners paid for our season. And it just made me want to continue to give in that game. And along the way, I got to roll with Jamie Coons and Luke to Mankato West to actually start their high school program down there. And again, I had just started playing. I was moving balls around for these guys and getting to know the kids, and I just loved that. I had 3 older brothers, 3 older sisters that as a kid would come, they were way older than me, and like would come back and play catch, like exactly the power of catch. Like that is a great thing, Colin. Is that you that said that? There's so much to that. And as I got older, when my kids started coming up, just playing catch with them and giving them that attention, Luke and Jamie and Art really did like continue that after I was older. And then the next phase of that was playing for coach here. Mark was one of my first club, if there was a club coach, because we were already playing club lacrosse at Mankato. He was our first coach, along with Art and along with Rob and Chris Larson. And those guys took us in and took us to the next level. All of that was so fun and foundational for me. I loved passing that on. And as we talk about all of this in here, when I look around, there's so many people in the room. I just can't, like when I got to the Gophers spot, so let me fast forward. We had 13 kids in a bag of balls, like somewhere in 2002 at Woodbury. And we started up the Woodbury Lacrosse program. And I reached out to Jason Warwell, and I said, Jason, guess what? We're going to coach high school lacrosse. And he's like, what? Jason's in here. So we got together, and we had 13 kids. In our first practice, one of our guys broke his clavicle. And we were like, we didn't have insurance? Who's paying for this? You know, and then, but we got it moving. And we didn't have a goalie. And eventually, like a couple practices later, this big dude was sitting on the sidelines laying next to the goalie bag. And I said, Tom Thone, go get that gear on and get in the net. Tommy Thone started our goalie tree in Woodbury, which is like all of a sudden now there's just goalies flying out of there left and right. But it's reaching out to others, it's spreading the game because it's so contagious, like a little cult with all of us. Like we just get together and we just keep moving forward. That brought me to the Gophers. When I coached the Gophers men's team in my first huddle, I'm like, man, I'm really doing this. Okay, standing in the huddle with 55 guys, and I was like, oh my gosh, Lipkin's coached these guys, Hurley, Graff. I'm like, okay, now all my buddies that have coached these guys, I got to really be on my game because all these kids have been coached by these other great coaches. And then I got to know them, and it was so fun. Just raised the bar for me. We started the Minnesota Athletic Club was a Gophers through and through. I mean, it still is. We ran a camp at the University of Minnesota on TCF Bank Stadium's field, and our first camp player of the weekend was Jace Childs, who is now the head coach for the Minnesota Gophers men's team. Let's hear it for Jace. He's doing a heck of a job. He's our director for MAC. We have a lot of Gophers, we have Bulldogs, we have St. Cloud State guys, Mankato guys all coaching with us. It's super fun. The referees all in here, like I could say stuff about Harold going all the way back. Matt Dempsey's throwing a lot of flags at me. But then we go to the girls' side. This is kind of where that spin. I retired in 2019, right before COVID, which is a great move before we started traveling with all that business. But so retired there. I was like, I'm gonna watch my girls play, going to hockey with my buddy Marty. And I got a call and they said, hey, would you coach the girls team? And I was like, hold on, our athletic director. I just said, Sarah, that's like a totally different game. And she goes, well, we've had 5 coaches in 5 years, would you do it? I'm like, here we go again, we're gonna network, we're gonna bring more people into the game. So I elbowed Marty and I just said, hey, I'm only doing it if you do it. And he joined me. Dave Garrity, we grabbed him from the hockey stands too. His daughter was goalie partners with my daughter. And then we grabbed Ken Kittleson as our booster club president. And it takes a village, right? The village is also extended to the cell phone. So one of my first calls was to Judy Baxter. She probably didn't know who I was. She's like, who's this guy? But I called her and I just said, how do I get this going? And she was super helpful. And then the next call was to Julie Carlson. I said, I don't know the rules, but I'm not going to tell the girls that I don't, so let's have you come over and do a coaches and players and refs intro to girls lacrosse for everybody. So she did it, and it was awesome. And the girls really loved it. And I think that what we're all talking about here, and I've gone longer than I was planning on, but the passing on of something super positive and the passing on of building leadership in our young women, in our young men. I'm going to stay on with the East Ridge girls because we have a whole fleet of them now that started with us and are going to come back and coach, and then the dads will step back and let them run the program, and we'll manage the booster club things. So a lot of stuff, the story along the way was really about all of us passing it on. Hand somebody that one stick, invite them to a practice, all of those things. Reach out, build the game. It's not about me, it's about we, as you said. And thank you so much, Mark, for giving us the platform. Thanks, everybody.